the main important element that separates the aggressive good and the aggressive bad in the context, why the good are superior, even though we give them the same intellectual quotient. The only element that could be brought in to the equation is the environment the intellect operates in. So the intellect needs a conducive environment to operate. And the conducive environment the intellect operates in is the mental condition. So the question we got to ask, or the area we got to examine of an aggressive good and aggressive bad, is what is the state of mind in both these people. So it is the mind that gives a conducive environment for the intellect to operate. In simple terms, the mind gives a conducive environment for the intellect to operate. The job of the intellect is to think clearly and to take the right decisions, isn't it? Because it is in a dilemma. Any decision could be right, could be wrong. So there's a dilemma. You have a choice. And in order to make the right choice, the intellect should have optimal clarity. And what enables the intellect to think clearly and make the wise choices is the conducive environment provided by the mind. So what is the state of mind of an aggressive good vis-a-vis an aggressive bad person? An aggressive bad person, aggressive is again, they are operating on the intellect, no doubt. But the bad here qualifies someone who is selfish, who is intentions are very unethical, who resorts to various manipulative means. His integrity at work is questioned. So whenever he takes to work, whenever he takes to action, his thoughts are very self-centered, destructive in nature. Destructive means he doesn't mind, he can't accommodate the interest of others. All the time he's thinking of his own personal interest. That's an aggressive bad person. So when you take a person with such an attitude, the reflection of that on the mind is your mind is always agitated. Your mind is always insecure. Your mind is always restless. I repeat, when your actions are taken with a selfish intention, with an impure attitude, with a manipulative spirit for your own personal interest, without regarding others' well-being. It doesn't matter whether others are looked into, their interests are taken care of or not, but I must succeed. My company, my profits must increase, whether my employees, whether my vendors, whether my investors, whether they're taken care of. No, how can I grab? What can I get more? So that the attitude is to get more. Such an attitude creates the mind into a frame of, what are the three words I use, Rajima? The state of a mind of an aggressive bad person is?
Agitated, insecure, and restless.
Agitated, restless, and insecure. On the contrary, when the actions are driven with a nature to bring about a benevolence in others, when you rack your head, when you invest your time, energy, resources only to do good to people, you don't have any hidden agenda. Deep in the bowels of your heart, you're very pure. You don't want anything from anybody. You just want to give to the society. All what you have, you want to part. All what you have, you want to do good. You are purely unselfish, perhaps even selfless in nature. And when a person takes to action with such a genuine and a pure intention, the atmosphere it creates in the mind of peace, equanimity. Your mind is very secure. You're very balanced. Your mind is actually at rest. It's very calm. So if you just put this aggressive good, aggressive bad, just a column, aggressive good, aggressive bad, and then you say the state of minds of these people. Intention is negative, selfish. Intention is positive, unselfish. And then you express explicitly the state of mind of these two people. Now you may say, sir, what's the logic behind it? The logic is, it is the mind that creates a conducive environment for the intellect to operate. So in effect, it is peace that produces the intellect. Remember that. Peace produces the intellect. Peace awakens the intellect. Means you can only think in a conducive environment. A conducive environment is your mental peace. Now, simple example, as I am taking this satsang to you all, imagine neighbor house, they are doing some construction, and there's a constant noise of hammering and breaking and constant disturbance. Would it help me to think clearly? It's a constant disturbance, an external disturbance. It doesn't create an atmosphere. It doesn't create an opportunity for me for the intellect to become erect. The intellect is not erect. It can't function. It can't think clearly. So what we are saying is, when your mind is agitated, you can't think. You can't think. You cannot perform actions properly. So if you want to act correctly, you need to have the intellect, and intellect will become optimal only when your mind is calm. Even in your own situations, have we not experienced, especially when you're in emotional state, are we not advised, don't take hasty decisions at that moment. Don't commit anything during that moment when your emotions are going high. Why are we told? Because let's say you have 40% intellect with you. I'm being very charitable. Huh? Morning, I'm usually very charitable. Otherwise, as the day goes by, my nature changes. So 40% intellect you have got. And let's say you have got into an emotional argument. You got into an argument and you have lost your mental composure. You're very disturbed. And right after that, you get into a meeting and you have to make a very important decision. What is the state of your mind? Very agitated. Now, in that agitated state, if you have to take a decision, your intellect, which you have 40%, it is only optimal is 15% intellect. So 25% of your intellect is not available to you. So your mental agitations clouds the intellectual clarity. So you don't think clearly. You can't see rationally. Invariably, you will make wrong decisions impulsively, emotionally. And to substantiate what I'm saying, chapter 2, verses 64 and 65 establishes it. The 64th mantra says, when you operate with your intellect, it produces peace. So intellect creates peace. Intellect is instrument. Intellect is the cause. Peace is the effect. And the 65th mantra, which is the direct context of the question here. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajaayate prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthate. Prasade, in that prasada, in that peace of mind which the intellect has produced. Prasade means when your mind is calm, all your sorrows are destroyed, and the intellect of the tranquil minded soon becomes steady. So intellect becomes steady only when your mind is calm. So the 65th mantra says, peace is the cause, the intellect is the effect. 64th says, intellect is the cause, peace is the effect. So intellect and peace are interdependent. One cannot function without the other. One cannot operate without the other. Therefore, given the both aggressive good and bad have the same intellectual quotient, why is the aggressive good superior to aggressive bad? Because the mind, the mental state of an aggressive good person is very stable, which lends an environment so that the intellect can think clearly vis-a-vis an agitated mind of an aggressive bad person because of his negative intention doesn't create a conduciveness. So he loses his intellectual quotient because of the mental agitation. Like when you're peaceful, you have 40. When you are agitated, you have only 15%. You have lost 25% of your intellect, isn't it? In that sense, that's where the aggressive good score over the aggressive bad. So it's no point just having the intellect. You must also have the value systems to give the intellect a direction to function. Where do you use it? Say, I can use the intellect to serve this knowledge to you all. I can use the intellect to burgle a bank also. What do I use my intellect for? That's important, isn't it? Hariji, I think this question cropped up from the dialogue we had last week. Does it clarify, sir?
Yeah, to some extent.
Some extent.
Yeah.
Morning complaint கொடுக்குறீங்க?
No.
No என்ன? அப்புறம் என்ன? இவ்வளவு explain பண்ண நீங்க some only satisfied to some extent you're saying? You're officially complaining.
No.
Okay. Since you have lodged the complaint, we will address it. Solungo.
In spite of the fact that the intellectually the aggressively good person has to put in more effort than the aggressively bad person.
How do you say that?
Because the aggressively good person's intentions are much purer and more unselfish, or most unselfish compared to the aggressively bad person. And that could be the reason why the whole society is becoming easily corrupt, whether it is the corporate world.
So the world is corrupt because there are no aggressive bad people. They are not. The world is in the state where it is because majority of people proportionately, I'm sorry I interrupted you, the majority of the proportion of the people are passive.
Yes, true.
Of the people who are aggressive are all aggressive bad.
Yeah.
Whether be it the leaders of your society, the politicians, the corporate gurus,
yeah,
the leaders of industries, they're all trying to amass wealth for their own pockets.
Yeah.
So the aggressive good
has to put in
are very rare. But it is not, that does not mean the aggressive good has to put more effort than the aggressive bad. Krishna, Lord Krishna in the Mahabharata is considered as aggressive good. He won the battle without picking up a weapon of destruction. With his sheer ability to think and maneuver and take the decisions, and using that intellectual clarity, he brought about victory over a dharma. He had to use the language and did certain things in the battlefield. If not for Krishna, easily the Duryodhana army would have conquered Arjuna and their entire force. Easily, very easy. It is all that skill of Krishna. So the state of society is aggressive good are very rare, unheard.
Sir, can I tell something which troubles my mind? In spite of that Krishna could win the Mahabharata war, under his nose, the entire Yadava Kula perished, which should not have happened.
Sir, let's not get into the backdrop of the situation then. We are talking of a context where there was a war. Lord Krishna, with his aggressiveness, helped dharma prevail over adharma.
True.
As you and I know, no master can wipe out adharma from the world, because that's the very nature of the world. In their lifespan, they can only tilt the balance favorable towards dharma because of their aura and their selfless efforts. But nobody can wipe out adharma completely and establish dharma entirely. No guru, no mahatma, however great you are, has ever achieved it. It can never be realized or achieved, because that's against the very nature of the world. World is nothing but opposites. So to that extent, I think we can't sit in judgment as what Krishna did and how successful or not successful he was. We are trying to talk about a concept. We're trying to talk a concept, because if you say aggressive good have to put a lot of effort and how successful they are, it's not the perspective of us. If all of us lead ourselves towards the aggressiveness, that is to develop and fortify your intellect and step out of the comforts of your home and do some good to the society. If I go out of my comfort zone and serve and sacrifice, if you do the same,
yes, agree.
We will bring about a transformation in society. I don't think we can do any good sitting in your comforts of your home and sitting comforts of my office. In Zoom classes will not do any good to the society, isn't it? We have to stretch out karma. You must serve and sacrifice. You get it? Yes, sir.
But the effort that you are putting and you have to put is 100 times, million times more than anybody else, because you want to propagate this truth. You cannot compare the effort that you are putting with the effort I may be thinking to put in. That is way beyond my effort. I cannot even think about it.
No, I can understand what you're saying, but how is it related to the context, sir? Let's not go astray. I think with reference to the question, we have just been very. I just want to put my blinkers on, because then we can just go on discussing in various go off straight. So let's not go off straight. When this question cropped up from something, you had brought it up, and we have just brought out the points essentially why an aggressive good is superior to aggressive bad. If there's any other element, we can always, I'm happy to look for any inputs that you think could contribute for the advantage of the good over the bad, aggressive good over the bad. Whether it's difficult or for effort, all those elements are not in direct context to the question. Let's not get into that in a classroom, please. Okay, sir. Okay, right. Now, any other, thanks, Hariji. Any other inputs? Any other clarification? Reddy Garu, is all okay, sir?
Yes, Guruji. Only a little clarification. When we're talking about mind gives a conducive environment to intellect to operate. But I think it's like in a vicious circle. When you are in a turbulent and when you are in emotional, again, we have to inject a lot of intellect to calm down. Because if in absence of the intellect, I'm sure we'll lose control of the whole of our mind. So to bring back the mind into control, again, we need to see that like a balance where the mind is overpowering you, and you have to bring again intellect and control the mind. That's what I see, that the mind gives a conducive environment to intellect to operate, but intellect also adds a mind to be conducive. That's where I thought of.
It's almost a catch-22 situation, isn't it? One
Yes.
needs the other. So as I've said, it is the intellect that produces peace, and it's the peace that produces the intellect. So it's interdependent, you know.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's like when you're sailing, you need the wind to help the sail the boat, isn't it?
Yes.
But when the winds become turbulent, the very same wind can wreck the ship, can destroy,
Yeah.
can take you off course because it's too powerful. You have no capacity to contain that wind in the open seas. So it's a question of needing it at the same time controlling it.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Good. Yes. Good.
So therefore it is important. So for example, when you're in a state of agitation, you rightly said that you need the intellect to bring about peace. See, there are other ways and means you could bring about peace in your life. Let's say there is a problem, there is a challenge, and you're not able to resolve it, and it's causing considerable turmoil within. I know that I lack the clarity and the capacity to deal with it. But at least I could surrender to someone who can help me deal with it. At least that amount of intellect you should have to say, let me not have the arrogance that I know life and I have dealt with it and I will do with it. And you know, you don't curb your ego. So there are other ways and means you can help yourself resolve the immediate turmoil so that it lends you a little peace and comfort, so that you can bring back the clarity, so that you don't succumb to that emotional state. So surrender is one of the very important means to surrender to a superior intellect, obviously. You
Guruji,
believe that somebody...
Sorry, Guruji. That
No
comes
problem.
from the Swadharma of gunas, what you possess there in that. Like in a same situation goes through by a sattvic person or a tamasic person or a rajasic person. His behavior pattern could be something different. A sattvic person comes under this influence of this turmoil. So it takes back, as you said, that no hasty decisions in an emotional moment. Maybe he cools down and comes back and inject more of intellect and get to fight the situation, come out of it. If it is in a rajasic person, it is outrightly, I think the mind takes total control of the gentleman. He is go out of way to control him. The tamasic person, of course, he may run away from the situation. It could be different too.
Sir, my capacity to analyze is a little bit. You have analyzed in greater detail, sir.
No, Guruji. No, I'm just correlating.
My God, that. I could not relate to think that way, sir. So I'm going to take serious notes, sir.
No, Guruji. I'm just getting connected to that.
No. You are actually right. You know, but if you bring in those elements to analyze when one is in situations like those, you know, you have, it's not necessary that I have to wait until my intellect is developed to handle with the agitations. So you can invoke peace in a crisis. That's what I'm saying. You can invoke peace in a crisis through surrender, through withdrawal. You know, especially when you are in an argument, how quickly you can withdraw means how quickly you step back and say, no, I am going nowhere. There's no point me trying to drill a hole where it is a roadblock. So I'm not able to get through other person. So why I'm wasting my time? If that amount of sanity prevails, I'll quickly keep quiet and say, okay, I think let's leave it at that. I think you have a point. I respect it. We are not going anywhere with it. Let's move back, you know.
I think last week we had discussed about Guruji, but let's go. I think
letting go. Yeah, letting go.
Let it go. Let it go. Just simply drop
Yeah.
it there. And second thing is, you don't require to prove a point of your own perception there. That's
You don't
it.
need to.
It stops the whole thing.
Correct. Absolutely. So does that help, sir?
That's perfectly, Guruji.
Right.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Right, sir. Right. Yes, Harish.
Very well, Guruji.
Yes, Harish. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Guruji.
No, yesterday in the class, I'm sorry you were not there. I have very strict rules have been introduced that I've stopped greeting people during the class. Since you are not there, benefit of doubt given, because I've given instructions to people who greet me during the class, immediately they'll be blocked and they'll be sent out of the Zoom class. So next time, don't greet me during the class, Harish.
Okay.
But if you keep smiling like that, I may give you one chance. That's all, you know.
Thank you.
Yes, Harish.
Guruji, is there such a thing where a person can be both aggressive good and aggressive bad simultaneously in different quotient? For example, can one be 80% aggressive good and 20% aggressive bad under specific circumstances or scenarios in life that require that action or decision for self-protection or preventing self-harm from the world? So can there be a mixture in different degrees at the same time?
I would add a couple of more into the equation. A human can be passive good, passive bad, can be aggressive good, can be aggressive bad. Because passivity and aggressivity is based on the proportion of your mind and intellect. To the extent you are operating on the mind, you become passive. To the extent you're operating on the intellect, you become aggressive. To the extent you are selfish, you become passive bad or aggressive bad. To the extent you're unselfish, you become aggressive good or passive good. I hope I have not gone too fast into it. A human can be passive or aggressive because you're predominantly expressing and operating on the proportion of your mind and intellect. So to the extent you're mind-oriented, your actions will be passive. To the extent your intellect predominant, your actions will be aggressive. That's point one. Second, to the extent you are selfish, your actions will be inclined towards passive bad. The bad element will come in. To the extent you are selfish, the aggressive nature will get clubbed with selfishness. So you'll become aggressive bad. But to the extent there is that unselfishness, to the extent there is that spiritual nature of yours of sacrifice and unselfishness, you will become passive good or aggressive good. All of this will change if you keep working on yourself, which means your actions will tend to lean more towards aggressive because you become less emotional, you become less impulsive, you start taking actions based on fresh measurements, you rationalize with it, you don't accept things on tradition. Just because it's been done, it needs to be done. You know, on every festival day, there's some ritual that is performed. You go to a specific temple, and I know there's a ritual in our culture we perform. I don't know when also, I'm completely blank. But that particular day in the year, all of us go to the temple. 364 days, nobody's bothered whether the existing temple is existing or not. Is it in that condition? It stands or not? Because the temple is in such a dilapidated state. Because 364 days, nobody cares of it. On that day, there's a gate crash. I'll get worried whether the building is going to collapse on you that day. But why are you going? Oh, that is tradition. Lord Rama, when he came back, or some way en route, he put his weapons on that particular tree, and that temple has a tree. So, the belief system is people start taking a little bark or whatever they can get hold of the tree, they start breaking as they're doing the pradakshinam, as they're going around the temple. So they had to build barricades so that people will not touch the tree, because there may not be no tree. Each one starts pulling what they can get hold of, the tree will fall and the temple will collapse. What sort of a madness is this? I just can't relate. Oh, this is tradition. It has been, my grandfather did it, my father did it, I also do it. So one of my daughter also will do it. Thank God I stopped it with me. Otherwise, the tradition madness will carry on after me also. What is going on? So passively is just following something which has been set into motion in the past. You would question everything. I am not saying you will reject it. You will not blindly accept it. If you think is the right thing to do, yes, this is tradition, I must uphold it. When I go to a temple, I must bow down. I must do Shashtanga Namaskar. This is tradition. I will do it. What is a symbolic representation? What does it cultivate in me? Yes, I understand its importance, its significance. I will do it. Not because blindly my father did it, my grandfather did it, everybody does it, I also do it. No, not that reason. So passivity is accepting something which has been set into motion in the past, where you don't use your intellect. So the question is, how much intellect you are using in every walk of the way, every step of your action, are you using the intellect? Then you become aggressive. So that proportion of passivity and aggressivity changes as you become more spiritual. Does that clarify, Harish?
Perfect, Guruji. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Tinkima?
Guruji, I don't know whether I'm going off the context, but here we've been talking about the mind and the intellect. The mind is emotions, intellect is the reasoning, discrimination. But both of them come from our vasanas. So if in spite of the same quotient of intellect, somewhere we do act helplessly according to our vasana. So does that mean we do not choose to be aggressive, good or bad? It's just that it's because of our vasanas we are that way.
See, if you say it is the vasanas, then there is no scope of altering your personality. Then there's no question of being a master of your own destiny. Then there's no question of attaining higher states of perfection. Even though all of us are expressing our vasanas, we have the free will to checkmate any vasana at any stage of time. You have the free will. Don't forget that. It's not that I am a slave of my vasanas. No doubt I am a product of my vasanas. But you are not defined by your vasanas. You're defined by your shraddha. In the Gita, elsewhere it is said, it's not your vasanas that determines you. You're determined by your shraddha. Let me explain that so that there is clarity. You know me. I don't know how well you know me, but you know me well enough. You know me that I have interest in doing certain things in life. All right. But when you introduce me to your family or to someone, how would you introduce me? What would you say I am?
Normally by the name or by the work you do or by what you are, what really drives you and what motivates you. And generally we do it that way because we never speak about a person's qualities, because that would be like sitting in judgment on somebody. Or
please don't talk. Please don't say that at all. Huh? Please don't say about my qualities. Then it's
No, for anybody. I'm talking about anyone.
then
I mean, I
it's
would
okay.
meet my friend. She's very nice. She's very. We don't normally say that.
Yeah.
We normally
No,
put
why
them
what
we
I'm
do.
getting at is what I'm getting at is I said you are not defined by your vasanas, you're defined by your shraddha. I said, let's say I have vasanas towards music, I have vasanas towards sport, I have vasanas towards mountaineering, I have vasanas towards philosophy. Have you ever introduced me to someone as Vinayji is a person, an avid trekker, or a great passion towards sport, or he enjoys this kind of music? Have you ever introduced me like that?
No,
You
because
wouldn't
that's
have.
not your primary. That's not the primary thing that
No,
that
no,
I
no,
have
no, no.
with you.
That is who they are also whose vasanas. They are also my
Lovely.
vasanas. But
Yeah.
did you define me by that? You have not defined me by that because I have created my personality because of my shraddha towards philosophy.
But didn't that come from your vasana?
Didn't sport also
I'm
come from my vasana? Didn't
Sorry?
mountaineering also, didn't sport come from my vasana? Isn't
Yes.
mountaineering also my vasana? Isn't Carnatic music also my vasana?
Yes.
But did I choose to become a Carnatic musician? Did I choose to be a professional sportsman? Did I choose to be a mountaineer? No, but yet I would do mountaineering. I would play sport. I will still enjoy and sing music in my own broken way. But yet I have not applied Shraddha in that field. I had applied Shraddha in the field of my vasana for philosophy. Therefore, I am a philosopher, and you would identify me as a philosopher. So you would talk about me as a philosopher. Now, I'm only telling how did I become a philosopher? Not because of my vasana, because of my Shraddha towards that particular vasana. Therefore, it is the choice. Let's say tomorrow I decide, come on, enough of being a philosopher, man. Let's change the garb. Put it aside and put on a new garb. Of what? I want to become a musician. I think there's greater recognition and following, and there's a demand for music. Let's become musician. I will change this garb, put on the garb of a musician. Then what will happen? All the audience which are there now will change. New set of audience will come. Because none of you are interested in music. Maybe then I will approach Sethuramanji, sir, please, you are the president of Kalasagaram. Please give me a performance on the stage. I want to create a mark in music field. Sethuraman sir, kudupingla? Namaskaram pandra sir. Please, or a chance kodunga paradadhukku. Kalasagaram stage la. They might throw me first and then throw you out also for bringing me there. Hey, yeah, who is this fellow? Not as two lines are making rhyming. No, every second statement he sings is a discord. Throw this fellow out from the balcony. They'll reprimand you for bringing me into that stage to sing. You can bring me to speak, but not to. So they'll say a long way to go, sir. You are not a singer. So what I'm trying to get at, thinking, you are a master of your vasanas, not a slave of your vasanas. So don't go by saying it's because of my vasanas, my mind and intellect is like that. Therefore, what can I do? No. There's everything you can do. You can completely wipe off your vasanas and attain moksha. Yes. To explain that free will, I've explained that you're not defined by your vasanas, you're defined by your shraddha. It's one of the most fascinating concepts. I can't recall which chapter it comes. I don't know. All the Brahaspatis here will know which chapter it comes in the Gita. Sai, a chapter listen Sai.
Sorry, Guruji, ant idea lede. I'm very sorry.
Don't be so humble, Sai. But it comes. I will let you all know.
So Guruji, there's still a doubt. So the person who's aggressive, bad, his shraddha is towards that vasana of you know,
Don't even go. I don't want to hear the question. Don't even go in the direction. I'm nipping it in the bud. Don't
how
go
to
there.
get
Okay. Very sorry. Then finish it. Okay. Complete the question.
I don't know if I'm going off the topic, but my question is for the aggressive bad who's only self-centered. And okay, vasanas are there, correct. And his shraddha, you said the shraddha towards a particular vasana determines what you choose to do and who you are. But then suppose his shraddha is towards for himself, his selfish deeds, and it is so strong that shraddha, it is consistency, right? So that is so strong that he doesn't mind manipulating, harming, hurting, even killing someone just for the sake of fulfilling that particular thing, because that is his shraddha. Then, so hasn't that shraddha towards that particular vasana only continues to take him, to keep him as an aggressive bad person?
Yes, wasn't that his choice to do so?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that choice is.
That's what I also saying. Both are saying same thing. Yes, he has exercised his shraddha in that particular field, and he's made the mark of what he is. He's become an aggressive bad because of his shraddha.
Be an aggressive bad.
Yes, he chooses to be that. It is not his vasanas, correct? You're exactly saying what I'm saying. He chooses, the choice is with you. It's not his vasana.
So I suppose he would change, maybe like Valmiki did when he met a sage or something, and then he suddenly switched from choosing to be aggressive bad to becoming.
If you know anybody like that, don't wait for a saint to come into his life. Make a fist out of and give a knock on his head.
So I'll bring him to these classes, na?
Then that's what I'm saying. Knock on his head, pull his ears, and bring him to this class. Say the sage is sitting there, he'll give wisdom to you. You don't have to go into the woods to find a sage. No, there's always that knocks and shocks of life. You know, the knocks and shocks of life only help you to become an introverted person. The question is how soon you become is the point. World is only going to make you go inward and search for the truth. The question is how soon. You may wake up in the deathbed. Oh my God, what have I done all my life? Now I'm in a dilapidated state. What is the use of all I've acquired and amassed? What use of it? I wish I did some good to the society. You may wake up and realize in the deathbed, but yet that realization has to come. So the knocks and shocks of life only make you inward. The question is how soon you wake up and realize the folly of extrovertedness. Are you okay, Ma?
Yes.
Looks like today I'm not able to satisfy anybody. So
No.
to begin with, Hariji has set the tone. So we shall maintain that tempo. Okay. Okay, thank you, Ma.
Thank you, Guru.
No, don't do Shashtanga Namaskar, Hariji. Chuma joke pandra. Right. Next question, Rajima.
Each one of us are faced with dualities in life. How should one relate to the dualities?
Okay, Kashish, give me your answer.
Hari Om Guruji. My answer was that.
You heard what I told your uncle?
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't address you. Okay. Hi.
That also is addressing, no?
Okay, my answer was that you should not relate.
Can you repeat the question, Kashish, please?
Yes, I can. Each one of us are faced with dualities in life. How should one relate to dualities?
Perfect.
My guess, or I thought that it would be that you should not relate to either duality too strongly. is by walking the middle path, or by walking being equally detached from both dualities. That's
Well
mine.
said. Since you say so, please advise us how to do so also.
If I knew, I wouldn't need to be here, Guruji.
Oh my God. No, you've rightly said. The best way is to be detached to the opposites that come your way. But how could you practice that detachment? Any thought? No, not necessarily you should know. I'm just asking. Since your thinking is right, I'm only stretching it further and say, how would I end up practicing that detachment?
The way that I kind of learned it a little is from my dad, because he always says, when yes, you can be happy when good things happen, and you can obviously initially be upset when bad things happen, but to keep in mind that there's don't let the events of life emotionally affect you too heavily, because you have to be stable and centered and like a rock. So you have to find an inner peace, whether that's through believing in a particular deity, Krishna or something else, or by having a guru or a set of morals, or something that grounds you to keep you in the middle, so you don't feel particularly swayed, so you can still find your feet even when big life things happen.
Hold on to that advice very dearly. It's a fabulous advice you've got. Blessed. You got it. Yes, absolutely. You're right. That you need to stay detached, get grounded, find a way you don't get swayed by either, whether be it the best of moments or the worst of moments. Get grounded, Very nice. Kamalji. Any thoughts, sir?
I think Kashish has already said so nicely. I don't feel like adding anything, but only thing comes to my mind is the easy way to practice is let them go, let the things go, whether they're, because if we understand all the good things or bad things are just a temporary in our life, and after a good thing, a bad thing may come, and after a bad thing, a good thing may come. So, and all those things are based on our mental state only. They are more at mental level, and the way since we identify with body, mind, and intellect, we will always face pairs or opposites. So best way is to let them go.
So I also perfectly agree with you that we can't beat Kashish after the way she has given the answer correctly. So therefore, the question and answer is a pass. We are going to pass. No more comments on that. Shall we do that, Kashish?
No, Guruji. I feel everyone will have different answers, different nuance. It's a rich question.
It is a very rich question. And I think you and Kamalji are very, very apt. Actually, Kamalji actually spelled it out. To put it poetically, in fact, as Kamalji said, life is just a procession. If we look at life as a procession, and it's a procession of good and bad. There are moments good things happen in your life, and there are moments bad things happen in life. And whether it be good or bad, whether be it favorable or unfavorable, as the saying goes, it came to pass. It did not come to stay. It's a beautiful, simple words, but it makes so much sense. It came to pass. It did not come to stay. So nothing in life comes to stay. If you understand, if you are grounded in this law of life, it's a law of life, it's not an opinion. If you understand the law of life, that everything comes to pass but not to stay, you will not develop an unnecessary, unhealthy identification, which is nothing but attachment to it. So you will understand the temporal existence of that in your life. And when they move on, you remain detached. You become object. And how objective you are to things that put you through and you remain balanced, as Kashi said, you remain anchored and balanced. You're not tossed by the good and bad. How grounded you are is determined by how objective you are, how detached you are. If you get swayed by it, that means you're involved. So you should not get swayed by it. How objective you are experiencing it and yet not swayed by it. And objectivity, Gayatri Ma, what is objectivity?
Being detached and seeing the things as being objective.
Being detached and
being a witness to the procession is being objective.
Perfect. Being a witness to the procession, which means when these incidences happen in your life, you take a step back inwardly and you look at them as if you're watching a procession from the balcony. Imagine you're standing in your balcony and you see things passing by, the traffic rolling by. Exactly the same way, you'll go inwardly and look at these various incidences, experiences, thoughts, emotions, all that pass by. And that capacity is called objectivity. And that objectivity is defined by, is dependent on the strength of your intellect. However you look at it, falls back onto this wisdom, falls back onto this intellect. So when one is well set, you don't get swayed unnecessarily. Isn't it? Perfect. You become a sakshi. Yes. The problem is we are making everything in life a reality. Don't make it a reality is the. You remember the concept, Ramji, we spoke about earlier? Making it a reality vis-a-vis.
Yes, Guruji.
You remember the concept? Can you recall the concept of reality?
We said what is real, what is unreal, and
No, Adilla. You remember the concept of everything in life has a relative reality, but we end up making it an absolute reality. You recall that those terms we had used. We qualified the reality as a relative reality, absolute reality.
Yeah, correct.
What is relative reality?
Relative reality is something which is perceived but not actually there.
No. Let me sorry, sir, I'll let me clarify. Relative reality is that which you are perceiving and experiencing right now, which is what you're going through in life.
Yeah.
But as you and I know, that which you're going through is not going to be permanent. It's going to go on, it's going to pass, isn't it? As a procession.
Right.
But when you fail to realize that it is only a relative reality, we end up making it an absolute reality. Which means, oh, yo, my life, I've gone through so much loss. My business is collapsing. There's so many challenges. I don't know how I can go beyond it. And your life crumbles and crushes because of the life shrinks to that particular moment.
Yeah.
You fail to realize, man, so many times we have had challenges in business. Another challenge in business, this also will go by. Why am I overreacting to it? Let me see what I can do to sail it through. You see, that is relative reality. We can't say that there is no reality in life. There is a tragedy or there is a comedy. There is a birth or death. There is a profit or loss. There is heat or cold. You can't negate that. You have to be factual and accept that. Yeah, this is what I'm going through in life. Yes, for this moment, this is real. But this is passing. So we should always, therefore, play a role.
Of a witness.
Do you recommend? Yeah, being a witness, should you play a role as if the world is relative reality or absolute reality?
Relative reality.
Yes. Live in your life understanding this moment is only relatively real. It is not absolutely real.
Only one question, Guruji, is that
yes, sir.
In a practical experience, when you are suddenly faced with a positive situation or a negative situation, there will be a few moments, and those moments can extend to, for some people, they could be moments, for some people, they could be hours, for some people, they could be days, when you are affected, in the sense that where your emotion comes into picture, and then your intellect takes over and then makes you understand that it is a relative reality and it is not an absolute reality. I think that phase is something which, this is my feeling, is that everybody goes through. I don't think you can be absolutely zero in terms of emotional involvement. Even for a moment, if you are not feeling, then perhaps you might have achieved the highest level of detachment. But otherwise, all of us go through. But I think the trick lies in how quickly you come out of it and using your intellect.
Correct. A perfect soul, a sthita prajna, will not feel it at all. It means he is not affected at all. They say it's like a landscape or a huge mountain. When you look at a mountain, does it burden your eyes? Huh? Does it become heavy on your retina? Oh, I'm seeing the mighty mountain. I'm standing on the foothills of the huge mountain, look at it. Does the image of the mountain burden your eye?
No, it is pleasing. It actually gives you happiness or pleasure, right?
So it doesn't burden you at all. So in the second chapter, it says, the greatest of joy is no joy. The greatest of sorrow is no sorrow. So a man who is established in his wisdom is never surprised in life. If I'm not wrong, did you use the word surprised? Did you make a statement there? You're surprised by things that happen in your life. You're not surprised. You understand good and bad is an effect of my own actions. Good and bad are there in the world, but I encounter them based on my own karmas. Please understand that. If too much of bad is coming to me, it's my own bad karmas. If too much of good is happening, it's my own good karmas. So when you understand that law of life is only giving what I deserve, why should I be resisting it? As Christ says, resist not evil, he says. If I have done good, I get good. And I know the cause of the actions I am sowing. Why should I be surprised? It's like going towards the banana tree and being surprised. Oh, there's a banana fruit. Why? How come there's a banana fruit? Oh, why should you be surprised when you only sowed a banana seed? You have been seeing the banana sprout, the tree coming in, and now the tree is yielding bananas. Why are you surprised? Banana tree will give coconut fruit or what?
What if
There
it
is no
does? Then you will
surprise.
be surprised, right?
Sir, I can't debate on that to a man of your wisdom, sir. You can produce a mango also from a banana. I will surrender to you, sir, because he is the king of what is that field, sir? Sorry, into seeds and farming and
planting
vegetation.
material. Yeah.
You are a king, sir. I surrender to your wisdom. From my illiterate stance, I'm saying a banana tree should only produce a banana fruit. A coconut tree produces a coconut fruit. A mango tree produces mango fruit. But in your scientific thing, you may do miracles. I am not entering that area, sir.
No, sir. What I am saying is that I have sown a banana seed, but when I go, I find a coconut fruit on that.
Which world are you? Which world are you talking about?
No, I'm saying in this context only that you have done all good things in life, but suddenly you are faced with a bad situation. It can happen to anybody.
I would question that statement you make. I have only done good all in my life. On what basis you say that? Are you, sir, given in a day, are you conscious and aware of all your actions and all your thoughts you have executed and perpetrated in the whole course of 24 hours?
Yeah,
are you conscious? Are you conscious, sir?
No.
Am I conscious? No. So unknowingly, unwillingly, I could have cursed many people. I would not have gracefully accepted the situation. I would have been having an inward hatred or animosity towards someone. All that negative feeling in me, who is going to face the consequences? My grandfather? My neighbor? My spouse? No, only me.
Yeah, true.
Nothing in life will come without me sowing a seed for. Let me accept that. I may not know what have I done to deserve it, but the fact is I have done to deserve it, full stop. And let me go and examine what have I done. I can't say I have always done good. Why has bad come to me? That is a wrong argument. Because the law of life can never go wrong, sir. The law governs your life, my life, everyone's life. So it's for me to be introspective and examine what could I have done. And in the quagmire of multitude of actions, the complexity of actions we perform, it is very difficult to pin out an action in particular and say, oh, this is the cause, and therefore I'm experiencing this effect. It's very difficult. It's too complex. The infinitude actions you perform, we don't know. And further to it, further to this law, there's also the law of resultant effect. So the resultant is either in your favor or the resultant is not in your favor. You may have done majority good, but still the resultant may favor against you.
Yeah.
So taking all that into mind, therefore we say, I don't know what life is. I continue to strive and do good, but if this is what I deserve, I accept it. It's just prashant. Therefore, that element of devotion comes in, has to come in, so that the arrogance of the intellect doesn't take over. It's all prashant. It's Lord's. It's His will. So it's a blend. That way you rationalize it. In areas of ignorance, you surrender. I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Right, sir. So the concept of Kashish, in the concept of how to deal with these opposites, if you look at life as a relative reality, you will be able to deal with challenges. If you make that, Ashish, I was just quoting other day in another class. Other day came to know that a boy committed suicide at the age of 19. Okay. They don't know what could be the cause because there was no suicide note or whatever. But the family, the parents suspect that there could be some kind of a love affair that boy had, and something concerning that. Now, taking that example, what would you think has happened in terms of what we said, absolute reality, relative reality? Just summing it up, that's all.
I would say that perhaps the boy didn't realize that, he's experiencing relative reality, so that whatever heartbreak or hardship he's endured maybe gets magnified in his own mind, and maybe he didn't see that there's or didn't feel like the love and compassion from the other people around him that would help him overcome this challenge, that this heartache that he's experiencing will also pass. And so it kind of overwhelmed him. He was not able to let it go.
Not able to let it go. He made a relative reality. Oh, she doesn't like me anymore. Huh. If only he said, so what? If only he said, Tatakim, as Kalidasa used to say. Oh, she has no more love for me. Tatakim, so what? Life can go on. Today she doesn't like me. Maybe tomorrow she'll like me. If she doesn't like me anymore, maybe somebody else will like me. If only that thought, you dilute it and make it a relative reality. But he made it a absolute reality. Oh my God, his life shrunk to that. So love failure is not worth living. He ended his life. So sad, isn't it? So if we are able to look at it that way, so these two terms can give a new perspective to how you can look at these opposites. That's all we are saying, is to look at it from a different angle. If you slip into absolute reality, you succumb. You quickly come into that relative reality, you can sail through. More often than not, you will be able to absorb the shocks. More often than not, you will remain unaffected. So how quickly, as Ramji was saying, there are people who will linger for few moments, few hours, few days, weeks, months. How long you linger depends on how long you're holding on to that state, giving it an absolute reality status. Perfect. Perfect. Right. Yes, Setuji. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
One method I follow of late is I've realized that resistance gives pain. So whatever happens, accepting it and thinking it is a blessing in disguise. Say I go to airport on a very important mission, there is a flight is cancelled or I lose the flight. I have to accept Providence has made it with a purpose. Better relax and then read a book which I have not was very keen to read. Take it in stride, and this has helped me a lot on many occasions. And I always remember a quote which says, God upsets our plans because he has a better plan for us. So I just wanted to share that.
No, very well, sir. Very well. Beautifully summed up. Yes. So no need to overly react. So shell plan A, pick up plan B. That's all. Huh? Right. So these were the questions. I think we have to conclude, leave it here. We'll come back and we'll move on to the 17th Doha next week. Okay. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.